often things that are close to the sublime have a different time scale and a different unfolding.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's really sublime, and it's really interesting how the light becomes almost a material, and that you feel enveloped by it. And there's so many different reactions that you have, from the visceral to the visual to just the essence of it. It was really spectacular.
Je viens de voir justement la pièce monumentale, comme on me l'a expliqué. Donc cette pièce dans la pénombre, avec cette lumière particulière et cette projection comme d'une pyramide, très impressionnant.
Moi je trouve ça sublime. Voilà, je sais pas trop le... non, ce qui est impressionnant, c'est que l'œil ne capte absolument pas en fonction de là où on se trouve et de l'angle auquel on regarde. L'œil n'a pas du tout la même perception. Donc c'est très fort. Moi je trouve ça très fort. Il faut que je digère un peu tout ça pour...
Ça me fait penser au cosmos, bizarrement. Ça m'a donné quelque chose qui est de l'ordre, je sais pas, peut-être de ce qu'on pourrait appeler des pharaons, je sais pas. Il y a quelque chose qui me touche beaucoup, parce qu'il y a comme un sentiment indicible, quelque chose de très grand, de très puissant. Je sais pas ce qu'il a imaginé. J'attends de pouvoir parler avec Stephan Breuer tout à l'heure pour en savoir un peu plus, mais en tout cas je suis très touchée, je trouve ça très émouvant en tout cas.
Moi, je trouve que c'est très intéressant parce qu'on a vraiment de la géométrie dans l'espace.
Moi les mots me manquent, mais c'est une expérience.
Bah écoutez, c'est magnifique. On a l'impression de traverser un voile. On a l'impression de traverser un voile de nylon éclairé. Magnifique, superbe.
C'est assez impressionnant parce qu'on se demande en définitive, par rapport à l'annonce qui a été faite, on s'attendait à avoir plusieurs représentations, et là on est à une œuvre unique, polymorphe, à interprétation extrêmement multiple. Donc du coup, ça perturbe quelque part, c'est sûr.
J'adore, je trouve ça très poétique, très fascinant. C'est voilà.
And sublime. Sublime would be the perfect word, I think, to describe it.
Quelque chose, c'est un peu, ça ressent, c'est très bizarre parce que c'est une expérience très individuelle, alors que ça requiert une mise en œuvre et un volume très important. Ça pose la question, est-ce que ça doit se vivre comme une expérience individuelle, ou est-ce qu'il faut au contraire mettre en scène une foule intéressée? Alors, je ne sais pas, peut-être deux directions de recherche différentes.
Futur absolu, et en même temps, pour moi, ça me ramène au passé. C'est très étrange. Il y a comme une continuité. C'est comme si il nous proposait, je sais pas, peut-être une porte, un passage, quelque chose. Peut-être que je vais trop loin, mais voilà, la sensation, le sentiment que j'ai, en tout cas, c'est ça.
The legard is completely white, and Stephan proposed completely dark and only with a light.
And he called me out of the blue. So the phone rang one day in New York, and it was Stephan, and he described this incredible project to me that I didn't believe at first, actually. I thought it was too amazing to be true.
There shouldn't be a function in art. I think it is this word function is completely contrary to art. Art should be something that should be experienced.
And at some point it was like making sense with the whole, environment. It was working, it was made for.
You have in France 3 main castles for kings or emperors. You have Versailles, you have Fontainebleau, and you have Compiègne. And Compiègne is really the Versailles for Louis XV.
Dans la Genèse, la création du monde se trouve associée à la lumière. Et il y a la phrase célèbre « Dieu séparera la lumière de la ténèbre ». On sait que sans lumière, il n'y aurait point de vie. Et depuis de nombreux siècles, l'homme a cherché à l'analyser, à la recréer, sans que pour autant, je crois, sa part de mystère ne cesse de nous hanter. Et c'est bien ce qui, je crois, vous fascine, Stéphane. Et vous nous offrez aujourd'hui une sorte de cadeau que vous avez souhaité nommer FUTUR ABSOLU, une installation unique qui a été créée spécialement pour le Palais de Compiègne et spécialement pour la salle des gardes. Je crois que sa création bouleverse la vision que nous pouvons avoir de la salle des gardes. C'est une sorte de prisme lumineux, éphémère, qui est en perpétuelle mutation et qui impose à la pénombre d'autres formes, une autre géométrie, qui est transparente et comme habitée par une brume que l'imaginaire humain associe souvent au rêve et à la poésie. Cette construction géométrique est comme irisée aussi par l'irruption lente d'un or, d'une lumière plus vraie que la blanche, et qui est comme l'incarnation de la pureté. Nous avons là une magnifique démonstration d'une technologie asservie, j'utilise le mot haïtien bien sûr, par l'homme à une vision, et qui devient donc, grâce à vous, une œuvre d'art. Stephan Breuer, en vous nous saluons un artiste et un visionnaire qui, de surcroît, a voulu nous offrir cette œuvre pour Compiègne, pour faire vivre le palais différemment. Et nous tenons à vous en remercier très chaleureusement. Alors cette œuvre, j'espère, fera naître en vous une émotion forte qu'il faut appréhender avec lenteur. On vous invitera donc à pénétrer dans la salle des gardes un petit peu au compte-gouttes, plutôt 10 par 10. Voilà, à tous ceux qui sont présents ici, à vous, cher Stéphane, un grand merci.
Take blue paint and yellow paint and mix them, you'll get green. But if you take blue light and yellow light and mix them, you'll get white.
average celebrity meets in 1 year 10 times the amount of people that the average person meets in his entire life.
Cette décohérence.
What is the real world? The real world
So, Monsieur Starkey, can you explain a bit the chateau and also the relationship between France and America?
Okay. The castle was built by Louis XV and Gabriel. Gabriel, as you know, built for Louis XV also the Place de la Concorde and the Petit Trianon. And it was a palace who Louis XV wanted to live in summer, and he made a lot of dispense for the castle. You have in France 3 main castles for kings or emperors. You have Versailles, you have Fontainebleau, and you have Compiègne. And Compiègne is really the Versailles for Louis XV. But at the end of his life, the castle or the palace was not totally realized. So it was with the 16th we end the work of the palace. I use the term palace while it is in the city, not outside the city. And it was really an idea of kings to have something between the city and the forest. We have a huge forest. It was used by the kings also for hunting. And Louis XVI was so proud to have the victory with the American troops during the Independence War that he asked the interior decoration would be in relationship with the Independence War of America.
Can we walk through?
Yes, of course. Please follow me.
Everybody says what is the function of art? What is art for? I mean, should it make you wonder things, understand things? Should you like it aesthetically? I don't know. There are many things, and should it? I don't know. Denounce things, and I think there shouldn't be a function in art. I think it is this word function is completely contrary to art. Art should be something that should be experienced, lived, and I know from all my conversations, of course, with Stephan, what he wants to transmit with this piece, and I leave that to him for him to tell you. But I think he really wants everyone to experience the piece, and I think that each one is going to have a very personal experience out of it. I think for somebody it might remind him of things. For somebody it might transport him to the future. For somebody it might touch a very spiritual aspect. From others it will stay as an aesthetic, magnificent piece. I don't know, I think each one will have a different point of view, and even I haven't seen it yet installed here, so I'm very excited and I hope to have the first view today.
I love the way the doors are.
Yes. That is really the most important neoclassical castle or palace in France. So I know that in the state you are very front of neoclassicism. And here that is the most important castle of this style. Please.
When they both met, it was like a mutual falling in love, and there was like an irresistible strength from one, really mutually, and they wanted to do something together. So I was like a little bit of the glue in the middle, trying to bring these two worlds together, and it suits me perfectly because my company is We Want Contrast. And it was bringing the most beautiful things from the past with this Palais de Compiegne, which is one of the only 3 chateaux royaux in France. So prestigious, such a prestigious place. And having Stephan Breuer, who I think is the most visionary artist, and he lives in the future. So to bring them both together in a project, for me is just magnificent, and I'm so excited.
I am a new media artist. I work a lot with interactive technology combined with traditional materials.
So, how did this collaboration with Stephan happen? I know he contacted you through email for like the past 8 months.
Right, yes. We met by telephone. He called me. He saw a project that I built for another artist, for an American artist, that he admired. And he found out who had done the design and technology behind it, and he called me out of the blue. So the phone rang one day in New York, and it was Stephan, and he described this incredible project to me that I didn't believe at first, actually. I thought it was too amazing to be true. And we started working together, him in Paris and me in New York, for almost 8 months. And we didn't meet face-to-face until I arrived in Paris just a couple days ago. But we talked a lot on the phone about his ideas, about how he wanted the project to seem, about what was possible, what wasn't, and the space. And Compiegne showed me photographs that I could only imagine. So being here in person is very exciting to see it in real life.
It is a new point of view, a new visuality, if I can say it like that, in the Salle des Gardes. And the project in Salle des Gardes is always like that with artists. The Salle des Gardes is completely white, and the Salle des Gardes, it is important because it is old, very old hall when the people arrived in Palais, and it is a first impression for the people outside the habitués du Palais. And Stephan proposed completely dark and only with a light. But it is always like that. If you propose something in the artist, it's necessary, I have a new point of view. He said, yes, okay, I understand. And he proposed completely inverse. But I like that.
I believe that every human relationship is structured around this principle, the will to give something and the will to receive, the desire to receive. If both will and desire don't match, then nothing can appear. If you're an artist and you want to create something, but you have no one in front of you who wants to receive it, I'm not saying that you cannot create it, but to make it happen, as for example here, they accepted what I wanted to give, and so it made it possible. And it's the same in love. If you love a woman and you want to give your love to this woman, if the woman doesn't want to receive your love, then the reality doesn't appear, you know.
And in the Palais, the first good moment is because Mr. Sarki, Emmanuel Sarkis, the director of the Palais, is completely agree. he said it's important with the light. It's a good idea.
When you create, the first instinct is like an instinct and goes very fast, and you have the idea and you know that this is what you want, but then you work, you develop it very slowly, you think about it at night, during the day, all the time. It lives with you, it changes and it evolves. And I like things to go very slowly, to be unperceptible. I hope that the sculpture will live in people for a long time inside them, and they will be able to think about it. And for me, it was a meditation. I mean, for a long time, I was very inspired by a text, by a very mystical text, and it's a text about the creation of the universe, and it was really quite amazing because I drew the sculpture first, and then I read this text, and it made an echo so strong to this sculpture, and it helped me understand how the rhythm of evolution of the sculpture, because at the beginning the sculpture is full of light, and then the light retracts itself and you see 5 rays of light appearing in the void. Then the rays disappear, the sculpture becomes empty, just the exterior is here, the inside is totally empty. And then the next color appears and fills this void. And so I didn't know at the beginning if I should start the sculpture by being empty or full, but through this text I understood that it should start full, because in this text they say that at first the universe was full of light. It was full of God. God was everywhere, so light was everywhere. And God understood that if he wanted life to appear, he had to give room to this life to appear. So he retracted light into himself, and it's also a nice analogy regarding just the act of creation itself. Because before creating, you just go into yourself and try to see what you want to create.
And the whole concept's quite spiritual, no?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be hard to predict what people get out of it, but it certainly has that component for Stephan, and certainly for me as well. I think the spiritual part is crucial. That is part of the experience. That is what will make it transcend something that's about the technology, for example, or about the space. It is about those things. Of course, you can't be in Compiegne and not be amazed by Compiegne. You can't figure out how the technology works and not be amazed by that as well. But that's not the important part, and I think that will come across. The experience is really about different things for different people, but it's has a very idealistic quality. There's something almost even quasi-religious, which is spiritual is a better word for it, but there's certainly a feeling of pure light that has a very ancient tradition in culture and art history and philosophy that has to do with the human yearning to be part of something eternal and part of something infinite. So it's a kind of symbol of that, and is a very small, tangible reenactment of entering into that kind of holy light for a moment. So I think that is a very spiritual thing, and there's also a sound component will help to create that mood for people. Not that it needs to be too sober. I think it will have weight, it'll have like gravitas, but it's not going to be, like a heavy, people will be quiet, but there's nothing, it's not like trying to intimidate people,
I think and going back to what Stephan said earlier, we pretty much approached the project as like a soundtrack. We said like initially I came like as a music supervisor, exchanging a lot of ideas. We've been discussing about that since months with Stephan. It was really exciting because it's getting out of the usual field of I would say project that you do regularly. It's getting like really like out of the blue in a good sense, of course. And so we envisioned that really as a soundtrack. And then as a music supervisor, we kind of like discuss the vibe, and we really much discuss about like movies that we loved. And then from that point, we were able to just translate to Jean-François that also had his own thing on the top. And yeah, it's a trip. We often use the word trip, but it is. And Stephan used that, yeah. It's like the future absolute thing is like projecting. Of course, we're talking about immaterial, and as I was saying, like music is the most immaterial thing that exists. It's a dream machine, and we really wanted to like give a lot of dream in that. And I think in that sense, yeah, we can see how there's an osmosis. I don't know the exact word in English between osmosis. Between the work, the sculpture, and the music that Jeff has made. And yeah, it's really exciting and it's beautiful from what we heard so far.
And when you first installed it, did it sound in this space the way you were expecting it to sound, or were there any surprises?
Yeah, well, even better.
Even better, definitely, yeah. We were fearing problems with needing big speakers in this enormous space, and finally, after lots of technical tests, in fact, we have a small device that dresses the space exactly the way we want it, and also because the music itself is really a lot of reverberations, as I was saying, delays, reverb, smooth coming this way, and so in this space with a small device that we have, it's enough. It's perfect, and the sound you don't even know where it comes from. I bet you cannot know where the source is when we start.
For me, it is a lecture of architecture. And I understand this point of view because he worked in the theater. And he has the sense of a space. He has a sense of the contrast.
Is something that could travel?
Yeah, sure. Well, flying, of course. Well, it's material. So, well, anything can travel. Even a sculpture from Jeff Koons or whatever, or even an amazing sculpture from Richard Serra, they travel around the world. But this is even easier because you can even send the information through the web, through the internet, and have the sculpture appear in different places where the installation is made possible. And hopefully one day I would like to have different sculptures all around the planet that would interact with each other, because there is a concept in quantum physics called intrication, where you have two electrons that can be, one electron can be here and another electron can be at billions of kilometers, and when one electron changes, the other one changes. They are intricated together. And I would like to create one day an installation where you have 10 sculptures that are intricated between each other, or even have collectors have the same sculpture, but each sculpture of each collector would intricate and react, and you could feel the presence of the other collector, for example, in its room, and so they would communicate between each other. That would be beautiful.
And at some point it was like making sense with the whole, environment. It was working, it was made for. And that's what I love from this project, and like the way Stephan work also is very open. I mean, he strives for his things, he has a perfect and definite idea, but also like listening and like adjusting and things and listening to people in their field. And at the end he gives something that is super like cool, that's the word, to be honest. And from the test we've made, we are really happy because it sounds great.
It kind of touches your soul when you listen to it.
Exactly.
Future Absolu is like the ideal direction of the future that I hope will happen, and therefore Future Absolu means that about this relationship between the will of wanting to give and the desire to receive is just to understand that this should be a circle. Like God gave us life, and we have to understand. I think that our role as humans is to understand that we've been given that, and so first of all, there is this step of understanding, to have this revelation of understanding that we've been given life and that God exists. But then the next step is not to keep it for us, is to give back. And just I don't know how, but it has to be a cycle. We cannot keep it for us. We have to give back what we have been given. And this is the sense of Future Absolute. So I don't know how this can influence financial reality or just this capitalist world we live in. But at one point, we see today that all the billionaires are giving back all the money they've earned and putting it into foundations and hopefully for the good of humanity. So maybe it's starting now people are starting to understand that, and so I don't know, maybe the world will change and we will understand that economy has to be based on altruism and that it's possible. And it's been possible here because this exhibition has been made possible with barely no money, and everyone has been willing to give and receive and participate, and this is how I wanted it to be. And at the end of the exhibition I will give the sculpture to the Imperial Palace of Compiegne, because I've been given the chance and the opportunity to exhibit it here, and I want to give back. It seems natural. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Je vais être jugé. Je juge.
Nous sommes au XXe siècle, bordel. Alors, qui baisse qui? Quelle importance? Vous savez combien de milligrammes d'éternité ou de millilitres d'éternité nous avons à vivre? On fout de la paix, bordel. Je suis sincère avec moi-même.
Surface.
sort of unnecessary adoration of art today, which I find unnecessary.
There is a direct line between that and this.
Well, causalities are hard to really pinpoint in terms of saying this caused that, but certainly it's something that interests. I think there's a connection. How one would make it is difficult to ascertain, but for sure.
From flying.